Hello Leo, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we'll look at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section will be looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross-watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Leo, let's jump on in. Let's see what you guys are dealing with. We're going to start with overall energy through oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. I also want to mention that I've started posting more content, including additional general readings, to my Instagram and TikTok pages that will not be posted to YouTube. YouTube readings will stay the same, but if you're interested in that additional content, the information for those accounts is below. All right, Leo, let's start with looking at your side of this connection. You follow your heart. I pulled that card and I immediately heard, I don't know what that means. And not necessarily that you don't know what your heart wants. I feel like you're very clear on what that is, but I feel like you're experiencing a lot of difficulties around following your heart, and I think that it's making things really confusing for you. And I know that sounds vague, but I'll dive into it more. With forgiveness, okay. You've had to do a lot of forgiving. Leo, I feel like you've had to do a lot of forgiving. And I think that, forgiveness is something that I think can be kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people, because although I do believe forgiveness is important, and I think that forgiveness isn't actually an act of love for another person, it's actually more of an act of self-love, because it allows you to find peace and be able to move on and heal from a situation. But forgiveness doesn't equal tolerance. And I feel like for you, it kind of feels like you're in this really confused state where your heart is really set on something, but you've also had to do so much forgiving and so much understanding and be so compassionate and so empathetic that you're just kind of tired. That's what I feel like. It just feels like you're kind of tired of not having what you need, not feeling safe, seen, secure this person's energy toward you. Connection, separation, and then breakups and makeups. So this person's very in and out. It's a very wishy-washy energy, and I feel like when they're in, it's very strong. Like there's a lot of, grand promises that you receive from this person, and, maybe even, explanations, and I love you so much, and I care about you, and I want to make this work, and then like clockwork, I feel like the cycle kind of repeats itself. And I feel like as things currently stand in this connection, there is separation. And I feel like that's where you're really confused, because there is a lot of desire for this connection to work. I feel like you have a lot of love here, but I also feel that this has it just kind of feels like you've just been like ragdolled around, like just whiplash almost. Just, you care about me and you love me, and then you do these things and it hurts so bad, but then you come back and you say you care about me, and it's just like, I just feel like there's such a back and forth here that it's so hard for you to know like how to handle this. And that's what I meant when I said, you know what your heart wants, but it's really hard for you to follow that because I feel like things have been so challenging. Truth of the connection between Leo and this person. Truth of this connection. This is interesting. It feels like there's a specific card that's trying to be brought forward. Interesting. Codependency. I feel like that was the one. Okay. Codependency, surrender with confusion. It's no mistake or no secret here that I feel like this person's behavior confuses you. Because again, there's all of these, things that they do that makes you feel like they really care. And then there's all of these things that they do that makes you feel like they really don't. And this codependency card, I've often kind of looked at as holding the similar energy of like the devil card, where, things start to feel a little bit toxic. It starts to feel unhealthy. And even though there's such a draw and a desire for the connection, it's really difficult because not knowing how to handle it, because it's almost like your heart is torn, where it's like you see that you're not being treated like you deserve, but you also do sometimes feel like you are treated like you deserve. So then there's these moments where everything feels so good and promising, and whenever, you experience that whiplash, it puts you in this state of confusion of not really knowing what to do, especially if the time when things are good has you holding on to like if this could just be consistent, if we could just get to a place in this connection where I experienced this version of you more than that version of you, like it would be great. But I feel like the wishy-washiness has just been so repetitive that it's put you in this place of not really knowing what to do or how to handle this or maybe even how to feel. Overall theme of this connection for Leo. You don't love me and someone is unhappy. See, that's the way you see this. It's like, constantly not having, your needs met or feeling seen, heard, valued, chosen, whatever kind of fits for your specific story. It has you getting to this place where it's like, I don't even know if you even care about me at all. I don't know if it's just all been a lie or what. And I don't feel like it has. I don't think that this person just says things that they don't mean. Their behavior, however, might be more of a reflection of their capacity than their actual feelings and true intentions, especially because you have pride keeps us apart here. So, pride, ego, when those get in the way of genuine connection, it's usually not a reflection of true feelings as much as it's a reflection of capacity and ego. But let's dive into this more. Leo, start with your side, forgiveness with follow your heart. Leo side of this connection. Leo's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Yeah, literally. 5 of Wands being the first card out, I feel like is exactly what I was saying. Like it's this energy of like being really conflicted, like being at war with yourself and, having this desire and having this love, but also just feeling this. I didn't even see this, the 10 of Swords on the bottom, just feeling this way. It's like, I don't know how much more I can take. I don't know how much more of this I can sit through. And I think that it's gotten you in this place where you're like, I don't know what to do. And I know that I've said that a lot, but I feel like the confliction part is really important. Leo's side of this connection. The 5 of Cups. I mean, you don't deserve to feel this way, Leo. There's a lot of disappointment. I feel like you've been let down by this person a lot. And I said this at the very beginning, like I feel like you've had to do a lot of forgiving, where it's almost like there's been all of this this behavior that has just very much affected you and impacted you, and maybe you've vocal about it and you've been honest about your feelings and you've tried to explain yourself, and it just feels like it's never really heard. And I think that it's put you in this position where honestly, you're just really sad, because I feel like you see the potential that this connection could be, but it's really hard for you because where things are at is, like I said, having a very real effect on you. Four of Cups with the Page of Cups. You have a lot of love to give. You have a lot of love to give. And I feel like you want to be able to give that to this person. And I kind of see that a little bit with, like, see how there's both of these cards, like what I'm immediately drawn to is the extension. I feel like you have so much to give. Like, you're constantly pouring into this person's cup and, you know, making them feel loved and seen and heard and valued. And then I kind of feel like then as things progress, you find yourself doing all of this giving and all of this sacrificing, all of this showing up. And then you kind of sit there and you're like, for what? For what? You know, for the times where things feel good. But most of the time I feel like things have been quite the struggle here. And this Four of Cups again is like, I feel like there is a little bit of a perspective shift that's needed, because I think that you're looking at this from this perspective of like, why doesn't this person see me as enough, see me as valuable, see me as worthy of commitment and being chosen and of sticking around and of being treated well? And we haven't dove into this person's energy yet. But one thing I can tell you is that people don't treat us how they value us. They treat us how they value themselves. They treat us based on their emotional awareness and capacity to give and receive love. And whenever that is the case, whenever people are actively and aggressively even stuck in a limited capacity, they're never going to be able to meet you where you deserve to be met. And it has nothing to do with you or the value that you bring. And it's almost like this connection has started to make you devalue what you have to bring. And I think that it's really important that you don't let it. And I know that's so much easier said than done. But, you know, the value that you have to provide isn't, if it's not seen by another person, if it's not, you know, responded to in the way that you desire, it's not a reflection of the actual value, right? If you hand somebody a handful of diamonds and they take those diamonds and they throw them in the trash, you're not going to sit there and you're not going to question the value of the diamonds. You're going to go, why would you throw away something so valuable? But it's interesting because when we have all of this love to give other people and they turn around and they discard it or they don't value it appropriately, we go, oh my gosh, I'm not worthy enough. But that's never the case. You're absolutely inherently worthy and deserving. But yeah, you're tired. And I said it at the very beginning, Four of Swords in reverse, tired and burnt out and honestly just kind of over it. But there's still that desire there. And I think that that's where the confliction really stems from. This person's energy toward you, breakups and makeups with separation. Okay, Queen of Cups, right out of the gate. You could be dealing with a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but I actually see this as how this person sees you, especially because then there's this Two of Cups in reverse on the bottom, which is all about like separation. I feel like they see you in separation, see themselves as in separation from you. And I feel like with this Queen of Cups energy, it's like they see you as someone who is very compassionate and understanding and empathetic and emotionally intelligent. And I feel like they do actually value you in a way that maybe you're unaware of here. You don't have to be a female. for that to resonate. I mean, we all have masculine and feminine energies within us. This person's energy toward you. I wanted that to be upright. It's death in reverse. Is it death in reverse and strength in reverse? Yeah, okay. And then the King of Swords in reverse here too. That's a lot of reverse cards. Right? Yeah. No, that's a reverse message. And I feel like the reason for it is it's because it's the absence of this thing. Because it's like, feeling good enough and worthy and deserving and having confidence and courage. And then, the death I always see as like transformation, a willingness to change, a surrender to change. This person is resisting a lot of the things that they ultimately need to change about themselves because, that's what's interesting. You make this person not feel good enough. And it's nothing that you do, okay? That's what's really important. It's not, and that's the thing. And I've talked about this before in Leo readings, how sometimes our light can make other people have to face like their own darkness or their own insecurities, their own shadow. And not just like, I'm not just talking about Leo, I'm talking about across the board. When we've done healing and when we've stepped into our power and when we're, at this place where we are emotionally intelligent and we're dealing with somebody who maybe struggles with those things, doesn't feel good enough, maybe carries a lot of insecurity, which I kind of feel like this person does struggle with. It's almost like they then see all of the wonderful things that you carry immediately as a reflection of how they're inadequate. And I think that that's where a lot of their behavior is coming from, is not from a place of feeling like you're inadequate, but from a place of feeling like they're inadequate. And that's what's so interesting, right? When we don't feel worthy and deserving of the things that we desire, we're going to sabotage them. We're going to throw them away. We're going to have the diamonds in our hand and we're going to toss them in the trash. And we're going to do it not because we don't want to value the diamonds or we don't want to have the diamonds, but ultimately because we don't feel worthy and deserving of having the very thing that we do deeply desire. And so, and the thing that I feel brings a lot of like red flag energy is the death in reverse, because that is straight up a lack of awareness and hesitant or almost like refusal is what I feel, to change, to show up differently. And even though I feel like they see you as somebody who is very valuable, I also feel like they struggle with accountability and looking at themselves through an honest lens and saying, there are things about me that I need to change. There are things that I need to do different and ways that I need to show up better. And it's, the ways in which they present these things, I feel like really, it's almost like then you see this as a mirror, right? You see this as a projection of your value and your worth, but this is exactly what I said. This person isn't behaving the way that they are because of how they value you. They're behaving the way that they are because of how they value themselves. Now, the thing that we have to remember is that our relationships with other people are a mirror of our relationship with ourselves, and our relationships reflect back what we do believe that we deserve. And I feel like in this connection, the inconsistency and the lack of being chosen and being valued in a way that you do truly deserve is a reflection of maybe what you're very used to in relationships. Maybe you're used to a lack of consistency, used to not being chosen and valued. And I think that there's a need to kind of look at this, and I said this, from a different perspective. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. The Hierophant coming out right as I was about to say, from a different perspective. Because the perspective in which I feel like this is trying to present, the what Spirit is trying to bring through with this connection is not what you do deserve, but what you believe that you deserve. And we attract what we believe that we deserve, and we accept it over and over and over again until we finally put our foot down and say, you know what? No, I actually deserve more. And when we do that, when we finally open up to allowing ourselves to believe that we're deserving of more, even if it means walking away from the potential that we see in other people, that's what ultimately leads us to the love that we deserve. Now, I'm not saying that there's no hope in this connection, okay? But what I am saying is that we have to understand that people show us who they are. They show us who they are, and they show us what they're capable of. And we like to pay attention to words, and we like to hold on to the things that we want to hear and the ways that we want to see them. But we have to pay attention to how somebody consistently shows up over time. Because when somebody consistently shows up in a way that doesn't align with what you deserve over time, but you hold on to the moments where they do, what you're saying is, I only deserve love this much of the time. And you're not doing it intentionally, okay? I'm not blaming you or even saying that this is your fault at all. What I am asking you to do, what Spirit ultimately is asking you to do with the Hierophant, is to kind of zoom out the perspective. Because a lot of times we like to go, the love that I deserve and desire just doesn't exist, right? But if we spend so much of our time looking for it in the wrong places, we aren't ever going to find it. We're always going to find ourselves not having the love that we deserve and desire if we're looking for it in people who aren't capable of consistently being what it is that we deserve and desire, even if we want them to be so much. And you know, what I've really learned is that potential that we see in them, the ways that we deeply want to be loved and chosen and valued by them, that's what we deserve. The universe is showing you the potential of what you can have. It's not, you're not getting it taken away from you just because this person isn't capable of being that. You're seeing more of what it is that you do deserve and what you can have and what you shouldn't settle for. Because the more that we're willing to say no to what doesn't align with us, the more we attract what does align with us. And sometimes that is the people that, do the healing and decide to grow, but we can't put our eggs in that basket. We have to make sure we're making the decision that aligns with what we truly deserve. And I think that that's really the main theme coming through in this reading. But we're going to hop on over to the extended. You have surrender with codependency. I'm going to dive deeper into this, looking at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Thank you so much, Leo, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Leo.